All right, and I think I am live. Yes, I am live. Good morning, everybody. November 9th, 2019. Let me get a few things adjusted on the board here. I want to wish you all, hope you're all having a good Saturday. JJ Superstar, right into the gate there. How you doing, JJ Superstar? Nice to see you this morning. Hey Cheryl, how you doing, sweetie? I'm just trying to get a few things adjusted. Hey Bella, Nathan, thank you very much. Good morning, Shamaj. How are you today? Nice to see you, my friend. Good morning, Kyle Smith. I hope that your day is off to a banging start. Johnny West in the chat. Good morning, Johnny West. We'll let the chat populate a little bit here this morning. Mrs. Wombat, Hop Frog, good morning to you. I got a little bit of rest. It was a very rough night last night. Very rough. Good morning, Carl. Nice to see you, my Toledo friend. Good morning to you. Good morning, Joan Ann. How are you today? Joan Ann Smith in the chat. Yeah, so it's going to be a busy day. Going to be a busy day today. Wait a couple minutes. I'm just enjoying my after coffee. The boss and Janet have packed on. Hey, BWW. They're on their way home, loaded with crab and rock cod. Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. Thank you, BWW. Thank you very much for that. They're loaded up with crab in the big cooler. And a very successful trip. One of the most difficult days I've had recently. I'm not gonna kid you guys. Yesterday was took a lot out of me on that boat, and I'll get into the reason why. We'll have a Q&A. People have asked about the price of the fishing. Is it worth it? I think he's around somewhere. He had breakfast with us this morning and said goodbye to the boss and Jan. Had a good time meeting them. Had a very good stream, so I think he's around somewhere. He's going to go down with me. I need to pick up a garbage disposal today. I'll get to that, and I got to get that popped in today. So I just want to say thank you to all of you and those of you who watch on the after chat that enjoyed 3 different streams yesterday. The very early morning stream, being on the boat. If you didn't see that, no, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, Kyle. If you didn't see that on the first stream, you get to see us on board in the dark. It's very misty out there. Unfortunately, we picked the one day where the sun didn't come out on the open water, and it was cold yesterday. And on that stream, you got to see the captain. You got to hear his talk about how he pioneered the fisheries there, and he's the only party boat that runs the combo crabbing and fishing, which means that you get a lot of bang for your buck when you go out there. Just 10 crabs alone is about 25 to 30 pounds of crab, retailing for about $10 a pound in the stores. So you can see there's good value. Hello, Moonchild. Yeah, I'm going to put a shower timer on. Now, that was the first stream, and we went out to see. I got about 3 miles out, and then the signal finally quit out there. So you didn't get to see the fishing part of it. I was able to. What's going on? I don't know what happened last night, Kenny. Good to see you. So the signal finally cut out at sea. And I'm going to post something on my community page. One of the really nice vermilions I caught. It was about a 10-pound one. It was a big boy. So we all got our limit of 10 fish each. Janet doesn't fish, but because she pays the fare. Thank you, Valerie. Because she pays the fare to be there, she enjoys the spoils of the boat. She shares in the boat. And we fish for her and make sure we fill up her bag too, and she's entitled to the 10 crabs. Buller, thank you very much, Buller. Ooh, tipped. I'm not sure if that's Dutch Coroners, DKK, but thank you very much. DKK, I appreciate that very much. I'm not sure. Hello, hello. Good morning, Cupcake. How are you today? Hello, Vicky. Nice to see you, sweetie. Good morning to you. And yeah, thank you, Kenny. Good morning, Carlos. Now, that was the first stream. So you get an idea when you get on board the boat. They have to have I call Captain Rick kind of the Vince Lombardi of party boats out of the bay here. And he gives thank you very much, Miss Podwina. So he gives you the old speech for about a half hour or so, and then you head out to sea. Now, the second stream, I wanted you guys to see how the crabbing was handled. We got close enough to shore. I was able to get a signal. And it's like a mini version of Deadliest Catch. They're bringing up those crab pots. They're emptying them out. They're keeping account because they need to make sure that everybody, thank you, Vicky, they need to make sure that everybody on on that boat leaves with 10 good, decent crabs. And he'll actually pull some extra crabs to make sure that people are getting the biggest one possible. Why? Because he wants you to come back to the boat again. So if he had to stay out there till it was dark pulling pots, he would have pulled the number needed to fill up everybody's bag, okay? And he will generally fish until the boat has their limit of rock cod, which is great. The guy's been out there 35 years on the water, okay? The guy knows every inch of the bottom. He knows where the crabs hang out. He knows where the cod hang out on the underwater rock formations. Good morning, Dawn. Lobster pops in rock lobster. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yummy, yummy crab. Thank you, Cupcake. I appreciate that. Yeah, Bub, it was fun to bring up the pots. They generally are down about anywhere from 100 to 200 feet offshore there. So, yeah, so that's the deal. Yesterday, you saw him sorting. People wondered what the U-shaped thing the guy was holding was. It's a quick measuring guide. The crabs have to be a certain length across the shell to be keepable. Now, people were asking about female crabs. Would you believe out of almost 490 crabs that were boated yesterday, a grand total, anybody want to guess how many were females yesterday? I'm going to let the side chat take a guess on how many of those crabs, of those 480 plus crabs, were female out there. Let me just see what the side chat thinks. We're pulling crab up there, pots and pots. Cupcake, very good. We had 2 female crabs, just 2, that whole time out, which was pretty amazing. Where are the females? They generally tend to go out to deeper water down there. So over 99% were males that were pulled yesterday out of the water. Generally, they'll throw the females back in the water to restock. Yeah, so that was the deal on that yesterday. So that kind of really surprised me because on Chesapeake Bay, when I grew up crabbing, you would pull, about 50-50 out of the water. It's very low. The other she-females are the smart ones. And when I asked, I was told that they generally go down to much deeper water there. I love when you put it all in the phone. It's not a hotel, baby. It's not a B&B. Hey, good morning, Jen. Nice to see you. Thank you for your moderating and everything. Yeah, they don't take the female crabs or lobsters. In Maryland, you're allowed to take them. You're allowed to take them. But not when they're in the sponge phase, which means all the eggs are there. So you're not allowed to take them. So it's very interesting. Every place has its own regulations. Now, how much did the trip cost? It cost $140. Now, let's figure it this way. Everybody leaves with 10 really good quality crabs. I'm not talking about the stuff you get in a Chinese buffet. I'm talking about good quality crabs. Okay, so you take let's say about 2 pounds a piece. Some of them were 3 pounds. You're getting at $9.99 in the market, $200 to $300 worth of crab that you're coming home with. Now you get 10 rock codfish, and out of that, we probably brought 15 pounds of fillet at $10. About $10 per, well, more than that, probably, yeah, about 15 pounds of clean fish. So you're bringing in another $150. Aren't the crabs on the northwest coast bigger than the crabs on the? They are. They are. They're a different variety out here. They're the Dungeness crabs, and down there on from Delaware. Well, I'd actually say from maybe New York on down the coast, all along Florida, all along the Gulf to Louisiana and Texas. They tend to bring up. Blue crabs. So you know these are much bigger, much larger crabs. The water's much colder here. It's a very, hey Cindy, it is a very pristine fishery out here in California. Works very hard. For years they have fought offshore drilling. In the 1960s and 70s they wanted to put a nuclear reactor out there where that bay is, and the people fought very hard to resist that. And they have something here called the California Coastal Commission, and you can't just buy a piece of land and put up the house. Okay, they protect the whole coast. They can't go back and tear stuff down, but from about the 1970s onward, they were able to be very protective. So you're saying like crab legs from a Chinese takeout restaurant is cheap quality? No, Kyle, I guess what I'm saying is hey Erica, if you go to a Chinese buffet on the West Coast, they'll have Dungeness crab that they fry a little bit. They'll break it apart, clean it, and give you half of it with the legs, and you pull the meat out of the little honeycomb inside of it. They tend to be the lowest graded crab because they're suitable for buffets and things like that. Okay, you can tell people that you can announce that you have crabs on your buffet table, but they're not going to be the best quality. It has nothing to do with the king crab or the snow crab. That's the very long ones that come out of the cold water. So. Why can you eat the blue crab shell and all because of the other crabs? And well, Dancing Dawn, when the blue crab sheds periodically, and it goes into what's called a sook, S-O-O-K phase, where the crab will seek out shallow water around reeds and seagrasses, and it'll remove itself from its shell. During that phase for a couple days, it's in a soft shell phase, and it's a real delicacy to you take the whole crab, you can clean out, lift up the two sides of the shell, and it's very soft, and you clean out the lungs and everything and clean out the middle. You fry that up, and it's a very delicious sandwich. So those crabs are comparable. Yeah, I would say that they're comparable to the ones we got at the Dead Fish Cupcake. Yes, they're comparable to the ones that you get from the Dead Fish restaurant. Yeah, it's very interesting. I don't believe that they molt here I don't believe they shed their shell here. And when they're in the soft crab stage and blue crabs, they only remain in that state for about a day or two, and then their shells begin to harden again, and they grow in size. So it's kind of interesting the way crabs vary from coast to coast. But if $140, I think it's a bargain. Now, okay, some people have asked me, I like Italian food, Kyle Smith, Italian and Chinese. Now, I will say this, that there's a downside. And the downside, yesterday there were many negative factors that we had never come across before in fishing. Number one was the weather was horrendous out there. Like today, the sun has already burned off the marine layer. By 10 o'clock out there over the ocean, the marine layer, and in here in Santa Rosa, it didn't burn off till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's a thick, dense cloudiness that has to burn off. It has nothing to do with rain or things like that. It's called a marine layer. And yesterday, the marine layer did not burn off over the water, and it was very cold. And when you're doing 15 knots on that boat going from fishing spot to fishing spot, you better be dressed properly, They had some guy shows up in a t-shirt out there, and he can die, literally die of hypothermia on the deck of that ship because it's in the low 50s, upper 40s, low 50s. And when you combine that with a 15 knot apparent wind because you're underway, you can have an apparent real feel in the 30s and things. So it's very, very, thank you, Nelly. It's very, very different. So that made it very difficult all day. Okay, dealing with that cold. Even though I had a sweatshirt on and a camo jacket, it was still very, very cold. It was misty, and it didn't make it fun. It didn't make it fun. Okay, that was number one. Number two, the boat was overloaded with people. The boat's rated, I think, for 40 people, and there had to be 45, 46 people on board. Now you can imagine, when you have that many people on a 75-foot boat or whatever. Each person has about 2 feet to work in, and you start dropping down 75 lines or 45 lines off of a boat. Some people know how to fish, some people don't. Some people will let out a mile of line, and then their lines will become tangled against the whole side. It's very, very difficult to cope with that. So you spend about 25% of your time dealing with snags. And when you have 10 people fishing within a 20-foot area, you're likely, if you snag, you're going to snag big time, and you're going to have to undo tangles like crazy, and other people don't know what they're doing on the other side of the boat. They're snagged on you, and they're pulling hard, and they're making it worse. Hey Anna, how you doing, honey? Good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, Sean. Yeah, there were some arguments on board because it's literally butt cheek to butt cheek on that deck. That made it bad. If you're lucky, you get next to somebody that's very experienced fishing. If you're unlucky, like I do, you get somebody that comes aboard mainly for the crab. They'll rent a rod on the boat for $10, and they'll try their luck at the fishing. The problem is they really don't have a concept. Every fishery is different. When we go after rock cod, the captain will bring that boat to a full stop, and you're supposed to wait till it comes to a full stop before you drop your line down. If you don't wait till it comes to a full stop and you've got your line in the water, everybody else is going to wait till the proper time. They're going to drop down, and there's going to be snagging galore on there. That's different from salmon fishing, where you're trolling along at about 3 knots or so, and everybody's lines are out the back of the good morning, Marshall. Morning. Out the back of the boat. Thank you very much. All right, so you got the Rancho breakfast today, huh? Here.
Yeah.
All right, and you got to meet the boss and Janet. The butt cheek did not make us warmer. Hello, Mike's. Good morning, Mouse Toes. Mike, I like to keep my chats positive here. I don't like to engage in. Okay, take care, Kenny. Good morning, Lindsay. So, other things that I want to say on the fishing now, that weather combined with the number of people on board made fishing miserable. And then when you're doing the crabbing part, some people will participate and help pull crabs out of the pot. Some of the fishermen, they'll sort them, they'll measure them, they'll count them out, they'll keep accounts. This is not a speaker by me. This is a Motorola 1960 Motorola 21 tube stereo console, considered the finest made in America. So the rest of the passengers, the other 40 people on the boat, have to sit around for 2 hours, 2.5, sometimes 3 hours, while the captain's cruising from pot to pot. And that's the time that you really feel cold. When you're hectic, when you're have to really just sit there while somebody else a couple people are doing all the work, and they're sweating, and everybody else is freezing. Yeah, I don't know, but it makes it sound like it's the Dutch Harbor up in Deadliest Catch or something. That's much colder up there, but it's still pretty nasty. Still pretty nasty out here. So, for 2 hours, everybody's just sitting around waiting, watching them pull pots up. Okay, Holly, nice to see you. Thank you. So that gets you really chilled. And then we came home, and of course we're working outside. So I don't know what happened. Years ago in 1985, I got in a bar fight in Baltimore. My right leg was twisted all the way around behind me, and I've dealt with, I had arthroscopic surgery at the time, and I've dealt with the consequences. So I don't know what happened. Yesterday, standing on the deck for 10 hours, and you're literally standing for almost 10 hours because it's so crowded. People grabbed a few places to sit. And that took a really, really tough toll. And last night I was just in excruciating pain, my right knee. So I gotta get that figured out. I do, as you guys know, occasionally I do wear my sports brace on here. It helps a little bit on there. I didn't see Uber Goober swatted last night, Carlos. I like Uber Goober very much. He has a very kind heart. So that made it a very brutal night last night. Luckily, Jen was up with me and kind of worked me through it, got me on some naproxen that helped a bit. I was able to go to sleep, but then you feel like your hands are on fire from, between the van build and all the cuts and things like that. So it made it difficult. So I'm going to have to sort out my knee, but it didn't really. The knees are important to your health. And I will say I was up and down on compartments, making sure you guys had a good view of the crab, of them hauling up the crab. So I was jumping around like a Mexican jumping bean from here to here on the boat, making sure that you had good angles that you could see them bringing up the crab and all that. So I'm going to have to deal with that. Luckily, that's the only real health issue. But as you get older, you get a little bit of neuropathy in your hands and things like that. And I actually have carpal tunnel on both hands, so I guess I'm going to have to face surgery on that and just get that taken care of. Yeah, thank you, Hectic. The crabs looked fab, huh? Well, I told Marshall because some of them are meaty and some of them aren't. It's kind of luck of it. Marshall got one didn't have a ton of meat in it. I got one that was pretty meaty. It all depends. The later you go in the season, the more fatter they are, and they get all meated up. It could be a touch of arthritis, Valerie, but I don't think so. It felt like somebody was driving a hot knife into my knee. I went to, it just woke me up in the night there. It was so miserable. And I don't ever, in 7 years on YouTube, I've never really ever talked about health issues or anything else on my channel because I've been very lucky. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I was telling Jan, I don't know how to tell the boss and Jan, I may not be able to do that, physically do that trip again. You get on that boat at 5 a.m. in the morning, and there's already a full load of people on board. You can get a place to sit if you're lucky. But then you get off of that boat at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever. You've been standing on your feet a long, long time, and that definitely takes a toll all the way around. So we'll see about that. Anybody have any other questions about the fishing? Did you have any questions, Marshall, or about the fishing? And
Well, I
I was in
think
so much pain I couldn't give my best effort. I tried to put on a game face for the stream last night, but man, I was in so much pain. I couldn't do my best effort of cooking and stuff like that. My beer batter cod didn't turn out well, and that kind of made me a little pissed, about that. So, yeah. So sometimes the cold can get to you when you've been on the. Yeah, I think it was so. It's just unfortunate that one day it was all overcast, the marine layer, and today it's already burned off and it's nice here.
I think that if you know what you get a lot of seafood for $140 a person on the boat. But I would be interested to see if you were to
Thank you, Dawn.
buy the fish from some fishermen that have already brought it in.
Thank you,
How
Bill.
much more would it be? In other words, if you went
They'll
to
they'll they'll only be a little under retail price in the store. So if you pay $9.99 for crab per pound, they'll may charge you $7.99 on the dock, something like that, for that. So, well, everybody, you eat it. I mean, it is fresh cod, but I think Janet's going to give me a deep fryer for Christmas, which will be nice. It'll be a
is
temper.
there a place on the water there that will cook it for you right there?
Yes.
Really?
When we
You
got
never
on,
showed any of
yes.
that.
Well, I was live streaming, right?
Right.
And when we get back to the dock, we're trying to make sure we have all our fishing rods. There's 100
Right.
fishing rods. Hey, Goldie, some people are grabbing the wrong fishing rod, and you got to make sure. I have a very expensive reel that the boss bought me, a very expensive pen reel. And, we have to gather up the 3 rods that we have. We have to get our bucket of tackle and everything. We've got to get 3 heavy bags of crabs, three bags of filleted fish. But let's talk a little bit.
Is there
Okay, thank you, Mouse
you never
Toes.
really videoed anything after you get
Right.
off the boat? Is there restaurants there? Is there places
There
that'll
are
cook something for
there
you
are
for somebody
some
like me that wants to
restaurants
go
there.
Yeah.
One of them's famous for clam chowder. It's called the Spud Point Marina Cafe. They're very famous for it. Now, when you get off the docks, the captain will pre-announce when he comes in that, hey, when you hit the shore, there'll be people with boiling water there, and they will cook your crabs for you right
For you
there.
right there.
You take them home on ice, and they're ready to go
They're ready to
at
go.
that point. So they have big 25-gallon pots that they're already up to temperature, and
Okay.
people just come over and they'll pay $10 or whatever to have their
To have her. What
crabs
about?
cooked.
Are there any other places to eat there? Like to
Yes.
eat the seafood?
Yes.
What are the choices? What are the options?
Well, the options are local catch on seafood and things. There's
You've never videoed that area.
I have done the
You
Tides
have? Really?
Wharf and restaurant. I've done a couple of the restaurants down there. Hey, how you doing, Bailey? Thank you very much. I have.
I don't know what year you did that. I don't ever remember
I
you
don't know.
doing that. But
I have it. I mean, when somebody's put up over 12,000 videos like I do, it's a little difficult to nail them. I mean, I just spent the last week removing 3 million views from.
are the prices any good? Are they
Yeah,
expensive?
it's typical seafood pricing. Yes, I want to talk about the tipping of the boat. Some people don't understand the concept. If you want to have your fish filleted, which is a good deal, you saw how fast that guy
Oh yeah.
was filleting the fish. Was a magician. A very sharp knife and a skilled hand. Very quickly, he can fillet what they call a limit of fish, which is 10. In probably less than 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, he can accomplish that off. And that's $10 that you pay him per limit. So we gladly paid $30 to have 30 fish cleaned yesterday, some of which, were big size. Now, you're supposed to also tip deckhands because the deckhands fisheries are different than other employment. And when you're a deckhand on a party boat or something, you survive on tips and you work your butt off for the captain. And there's a pecking order. You had the captain, and once in a while, rarely the captain will come on deck sometimes and help out a little bit too, get a line untangled or get a fish off. And things. But he's very hands off. He's up in the pilot house for most of the day. He has cameras mounted in the rear and microphones, and he pretty much can tell what's going on. Then you have his nephew, who is really a licensed captain himself. So you had 2 licensed captains on board. And then you had a third deckhand named Logan. That was the guy that was running the crab puller over on the side. He's like the lowest guy on the totem pole, so he's kind of like the gopher. But the first mate, the nephew, is cleaning fish. He's making $10 per 3 minutes. The guy's clearing 200, $300 just cleaning fish. For an hour and a half coming in there, and then you tip them. I like to tip $20, $20 or so for the deckhand, because they do come out there and they do bust their hiney to make sure they serve. As the captain said, if you listen to the first speech, a waiter in a restaurant will wait on you for an hour. These
Right.
guys wait on you all day long. You
Right.
get a big tangle, you can't take. This guy comes over, he sees a jumble of knots and stuff and hooks all. He's got to undo that mess and get everybody straightened
So
out.
when they're pulling up the crab, are they using a hydraulic or electric pulley to
They're
pull
using
that?
a hydraulic to adjust the height, but they do have an electric winch that's pulling. You can hear zzz, and it's pulling that up
It's
from
pulling that up from.
100. Hey, Whiskey, it's pulling that up from 100 to 200 feet. Let me see. I'm missing a few questions here. I see Bella had one. Let's see. Let me see this one here. Are there any deckhands that help the novice? Yeah, they do. Their whole job is to make sure that your experience is a good one. Okay, their whole job is to make sure that you have a good time on that boat because the captain has one objective. Everybody gets all the legal limit of fish, and everybody gets all the help they need on board. Why? Because he wants you coming back again. And this guy's 35 years of running. He has people that repeat. People come from Sacramento,
So
90
what?
miles away, all down San Leandro, Millbrae. They all come up. You could take a charter out of Berkeley. You could take one out of San Francisco, but they choose to come up to
What do the
the Dago
deckhands
Bay.
do the whole time they're on the boat? Everybody's fishing. What do they
The
do?
deckhands, the first thing they do, hello, Greg, the first thing that they do is cut bait. Okay, in the morning when they're getting away, the first thing the deckhand, the captain's nephew, does when you arrive at the boat at 5 a.m.,
Right.
you have to do two things. You have to give your name and what party you're booked on, and you have to show your California fishing license. Okay, or you can't get on board the boat. Okay,
Right.
that's number one because he could lose his license or be
Right.
suspended. Okay, so that's the first thing. So that guy gets up about 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure he's there to do that early duty, and he has a light on his
It's like a roll
hat.
call.
Yeah, it's like a roll call, and he makes sure everybody. His job is to make sure everybody is paid on the boat. Okay, then the other deckhand, if you need a rod, then they rent out a rod for $10. Well, they take your name and they have to record all that stuff, and then you have to buy your gear from the captain. Sells it up in the captain's pilot house. The hooks, the double hooks with the flies you need and the weights. He'll provide all that stuff. He'll
And
sell
who do
that
you
to
pay?
you.
You pay
You
someone.
pay the captain up there if you need gear, or you pay the deckhand for the use of the rod and reel.
What
Okay?
about to get on the boat? You pay.
Now they let everybody on the boat, and then you go down. They have a sign-in sheet. You put your name, your license number, your phone number, because sometimes they'll call you and say, "Hey, I'm going out tuna fishing. Maybe you're interested in
Right.
going." And then later, they slowly groups go in and start to pay, and they'll check off of.
Right.
Yeah, but deckhands are busy now with almost 50 people on the boat yesterday. The deckhands were working ragged yesterday with snags. They're gaffing fish. Some guy caught a fish that called a lingcod that was about that big yesterday. And that's like the king of the codfish. It's a big, ugly thing. If you look at my post from summertime, you'll see I caught one. It was about that big. It was a monster. So they have to gaff those fish, pull them up, help you get it in your bag. They have to measure the fish to make sure they're legal limit. Okay. But the main thing that they're doing is trying to unsnag people on the boat and keep them fishing.
Why
Okay?
don't they have a thing with water where you can keep the fish alive? Like a
Because the
little.
fish they're so fresh, nothing's going to happen
Nothing's
between
gonna
the
happen.
time. Yeah, I mean it's nothing's going to happen. By the time you figure, yeah, it was still a great deal. Yeah, because you're going to tip. It's like if you go into a restaurant, odds you're going to, was the restaurant a good deal? Well, when you put your 20% on top of it, yeah, it adds to the cost. But these guys are making a difference. Thank you, lovable rogue. I appreciate that. So anyway, that's the things that they're busy with. They're continuously cutting bait. Then they're cutting over. They have to prepare all the crab pots when they're pulled up. They have to be rebaited. So there's a big 25-gallon Walmart bin that has fish heads and stuff in it. They got to take them, put them on the hook, be ready to hang that from the middle of the basket. Then they put some of the extra squid in little containers, and they put that in, and then they have to do all that work.
Well, that
to get
takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, man.
Right.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of time. And they do it again the next day. You know, mouse toes, I don't know how many days they ran when we did our trip last year for salmon, our first salmon trip. The captain, the day we went on, had gone out 101 straight days without a day off, the crew. Okay. Now they alternate the second mate. The nephew's always on board, and then there's different deckhands that'll come on and work.
So
But
is
a
there
hundred at that point, it'd been 101 days, 3 months without a day off.
is there something like
Okay.
this in Baltimore where you can get on a
Yeah,
boat and do the
party
same?
boats and all that. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
about for like it'd be cool
Yeah.
for lobster in Maine to
Yeah,
do
you can
that.
do that. You can do the yeah, that's right, mouse toes. Thank you, salt and the swing, and they go out and do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and they deal with the conditions. They're out there through December when the days can be down to 25 degrees in the morning, and then they're out there on the deck, and we had ice on deck. Yeah, they're very hard working people, so they really earn their keep. Now the first mate, the nephew, collects all the tips, and it's up to him to tip out the second guy. You know.
Does everybody pay cash? Is this like a
Yeah,
cash
they collect
operation?
cash. You book it with a credit card, and then you have to pay cash for everything. So, how you doing, Dawn? Nice to see you. Says hi, Rosie and Elvis. Good morning to you. So, everybody, it gives you an idea of the fishing. But I came out. It was $140 as a base fee. And you can add on other things if you need to buy gear. Some people come up short, they bust their gear, they need new weights, they need new hook setup. You can go up to the captain in the pilot house and he'll sell you a new setup up there. You go in the morning early if you want to go to the bait shop. You see, we bring big sacks in that they put beans in the Midwest, pinto beans, and that's what you put your fish in and your crab in when you leave. Those big nylon mesh bags, he'll sell them to you for $2.75. Everybody's supposed to come aboard with 2 pounds of squid, and you put that on the back deck on the
So how
table.
many fish did you catch personally
I
on this
probably
trip?
caught 15 fish, and then the guy comes, he looks at my bag, and he makes sure I get the 10 best out of those 15. Then the other five, he'll be ready to distribute to other people that caught less on the boat that day. So everybody should leave with 10 fish. Okay. You're fishing what they call boat limit. You're trying to reach 480 fish altogether. Okay. And then
Right.
that's you can get your 10 best ones, and he'll go through. So they work hard. They got to go around and inspect everybody's bag. They have to record the species of the rock cod. You're only allowed certain ones to take. So they work very hard. Good morning, Amy.
I think
Yeah, I
this
will, whiskey. If it's
it has to
shagging with
be
you, I'll wear it. Uh,
this deep sea fishing is for somebody that wants to really enjoy the experience. You have to really like it to do it, to be out there to do that.
well, it's 3 times a year. Like we go 3 times a year. We get salmon fishing. Then
Right.
we'll do a early spring one and a late summer when the salmon are running. We nailed some big salmon. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
Oh well, there you go, Frankie. So thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the trip. So if you haven't seen the second stream, you can see how they do the crabbing. Bring up the crabs and sort them out and all that. And then the third stream was our party last night, which was nice. But it's an exhausting day, and to come home and have to cook and do all that stuff just absolutely murdered my my need last night was just murdered. So yeah, so that took a toll on that. No, I couldn't. I can't put Marshall, take him out to the because number one, he doesn't swim. Number two, I don't know if he's ever really been fishing or deep sea fishing. He would have had a miserable day with the cold and all that. Hey, Alabella, and it's kind of a
I would
it's kind of a running joke on the northern coast of California. Like you should know how to swim, but if you do hit the water and you go overboard and they don't get you in within 10 or 15 minutes, two things are going to happen. You're going to die of hypothermia. Okay, I don't care whether you got a life jacket on or a great white shark is going to nail you because they sit offshore of that harbor, that bay there, Bodega Bay, because the tides bring food out to them in and out. So the great whites are all parked, lined up out there like a Raley's with the cars all parked in there, ready
Uh,
for see what
I
drifts
I think
past.
I would just be more interested in going and maybe there. I mean, Rosie says there's restaurants there.
Mhm.
Maybe there are some restaurants that have good prices on the fish since they're right there,
No,
since they're all coming in.
it's NorCal, so if
Yeah.
they can sell it to a commercial fishery in quantity, they don't want to piddle around with a few dollars selling it. There are some people that will sell off the dock there and things like that. That includes the crab too. Yes, Rock and Robin. 140 is the fish and the crab both. Yep. Yeah, and the sharks are terrible off that area. So if you hit the water, you're probably going to die unless they can gaff you and pull you up on deck within uh, 15 minutes or something like that.
So if you
So
want to buy something from one of the
I
fishermen,
saw a great white Alabella the first time I went out in November of 2017. You can put great white shark. You can just put shark in my search box, and you'll see from a distance a great white shark, a 21-foot great white shark, take down a sea lion. And the captain said, "I've been on the water for 35 years, and that's only the fifth time I've seen that happen on the water at that time." Okay, how you doing, Odame? So, it's very dangerous. That's why captains have to be sure they don't rip the bottom out of their boats and take shortcuts and make sure they're navigating properly, because there have been people that have died out there. There was one time a captain, instead of making a long run parallel to the coast and then cutting in 90 degrees, he tried to cut across 45 degrees and he ripped the bottom out of the boat, and people died out there, within 15 minutes. Yeah, Bodega Bay is pricey. They take the tourist dollar gladly. Yes, they do, Sweet Meadow. They do. It's a very expensive place. A lot of people go there from San Francisco. Anywhere that people go from San Francisco, they have probably the highest disposable income in the country. And they're
right?
just, the hotel rates to be out there, and they like that escape to go up to, Bodega Bay, and everything's expensive up there as a
They're really
consequence
expensive.
because they're not hurting for people to come in. Okay, this ain't Arkansas, brother. Fish fry. This is the
So
real,
if you
real
want to
deal.
buy a fish from somebody that's on the water, somebody that just came fishermen, are they sitting out there waiting for
Some
people?
of them, you go down to the dock. Some people have boats, have a sign, fish for sale, crab for sale, and then you negotiate with them.
Wouldn't that be easier to do that instead of go there and just buy the fish that's already been brought in and pay
No,
a little
but
more?
it's the fun of the sport. Like you never know
Oh, it's
what
the
you're going to
experience.
get.
Okay. So if you have to like
Sometimes
it
I
though,
get fish like that. When I got the lingcod, I got a fish that was that long. And
but
yesterday I got one that was about that big. I'm going to put it on the community post
you
page.
have to like to do it.
You
I
have to
would.
love it. I've always loved fishing.
If somebody
You
just
know.
wanted the fish to cook it, they didn't want to go out and do
No,
all
they
that.
could go. They could
You
go
can
to the
just go
dock.
down there
Yeah.
into the dock and
Yep.
you can buy
Yeah. Well, I asked
whatever
people
you
for
want.
questions, Ella. I asked
You have
people.
to like the sport of fishing to do that. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. I'd like to take Elvis noodling for catfish. There you go.
I think that I would. I've always wanted to go. I like lobster more than any other seafood. I'd love to go to Maine and go to Bar Harbor and
See, lobster
have the
doesn't really
lobster.
do a lot for me, to tell you the
Lobster is
truth.
great.
A good boat, too big on. Yeah, he had two big marine diesels on there, and the guy keeps good track of his. He keeps his boat in pretty good condition. But you bet he's making a fortune, that captain. Every time he puts it in gear with 45 people on a deck of that boat, you can do the. As Marshall says, put two and two together. You can do the math. He's bringing in. He's bringing in.
Now, in my opinion, if you're getting salmon and cod, it's a good deal. But the crabs are huge. There's barely any meat in them. The only
No,
part.
you had one crab. You cannot judge all those crabs by the one that you had. The Wheel of Fortune porked you. Okay, that's just the way it goes. Other ones here, you open a chamber, can be chock full of meat. It's very, very, very difficult, to tell how meaty a crab is going to be. It also varies by season. Okay, now they boil crabs here, which we don't do on the East Coast. We steam them. And as a result, you don't get all the water inside the shell. You have it much drier. When you open it up, you don't have all that water that gets in there.
Right.
Thank you. So it's 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 sport. If you just want to get the fish, you can go there and buy the fish. If you want some
Right.
crabs, they'll clean them for you. They'll steam them for you, and you can sit down and do. You can have the clam chowder. You know, one day we'll drive out there and I'll show you. They have a beautiful overlook to the ocean where I took Narse and looked out over there. Well, people spit out the shell pieces. Watch a Maryland crab feast sometime. Dungeness is different than Alaskan king. Yeah, it is. It
The
is different.
Dungeness crab, it's all about the honeycomb. There's
Yeah.
not
Every
much.
crab is
There's a
like that.
little bit of meat in the claws, just a little bit, but it's mostly the honeycomb.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yep.
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I like all the meat. I like the claw meat. How you doing, Vanessa? Nice to see you. Good to see you this
But a
morning.
lobster has the tail and the claws.
Yeah.
And lobster is I love lobster. I've always wanted to go to Maine
Yeah.
and see what it's like to get to have a real lobster
That's
feast
it.
over there.
That's the one. That's exactly it. Yeah, I don't put up with any nonsense on the channel. I don't even answer that stuff. When I eat crab, if you want to get drama, go to one of the other streams that specializes in that. You'll get plenty of that. This is a drama-free chat. It always has been and always will be. Now, as far as other things I want to talk about, that's the Q&A, and I want to thank you guys for that. It will now be, how you doing, Harvey? It will now be time to turn our attention back to the van build again. Got a couple weeks before Thanksgiving. I'd like to make significant progress, at least have the build out of all the framed dinette framed, and then we can think about, we're not going to put any paneling or cover or anything because I want full access to all the areas to run hoses through. Might pull some new electric spots in there. I want to be in there and have that, but we can have all the frame outs built and everything like that. Harvey, I had 300 hours to go, but YouTube took away 700 hours. Well, it might be that you removed some hangouts, you privatized them, things like that. So Berg sent me a text message that he had the same experience, that a lot of his watch hours got removed. I think YouTube, we all got a message that said over the next couple of days you may see a decrease in your subscriber base as we remove spam and.
I think they sent a message saying they're changing terms of service.
Yes, they did for December 1st. Yeah.
For December, but I don't know about the removing. I hope they remove a lot
Thank
of.
you, Hectic.
A lot of spam. I guess there's people that subscribe, or I guess it's robots. It's not even real people just spam you. So maybe they're trying to get rid of that.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to leave it up to Missy Jen. If Missy Jen doesn't choose to go to Reno, that'll be fine. Remember, it's very cold in Reno. You know, they're on the other side of the Sierras. It's dry and cold over there. Last year it was 17 degrees when Missy Jen and I were out in Reno, chooching, the motel, the old scene. And then that night I went out chooching and it was brutal. I went out by myself. I ducked into a few places. They let me warm up by their heaters and things, but it was a good time. So if she doesn't go, of course, Marshall will be welcome to go up to Reno. He's never been to Reno before. He's heard a lot about it and make a judgment about that. But Missy Jen is feeling pretty good. She's pretty happy. She pitched in as she always does to make it a nice event yesterday. Jen works her patootie off around here to make sure that guests feel welcome. All the laundry, all the towels, all the things we do to make sure that people are well taken care of. It's going to be in the mid-80s this week coming up, okay? Good morning, Miriam. It's going to be a great time to be working now there.
So let me ask you this real quick. Why is it that you say you don't like lobster?
It's not so much that I don't like it. Number one, it tends to be expensive. Number two, there's a lot of things that proclaim to be lobster that aren't.
Right.
You know, and
like freshwater lobster.
Well, there's exactly, and some people think langoustines or lobster. You know, they'll pass off a lot of different things. That's number one. Number two, the taste never was that appealing to me.
Right.
lobster. Maybe because I'm from Maryland, and Mid-Atlantic and New England, we have our own seafood that we grew up on.
Right.
You don't see lobsters in Maryland. You
No,
see
they're
blue
all in
crab,
Maine.
you know.
Blue crab.
Yeah, and that type of thing. So, oh, you were been to Reno a lot in the '80s. Yeah, I don't. I just me either. Mouse toes. I just don't. I don't. It would be. It would be a waste of money on me. Whiskey likes it. Enjoyed all the crabbing. Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much, my friend. Oh, you never tried lobster
So
before?
Rosie's never been to Maine and had a real Maine lobster and
I've been
lobster
to
chowder.
Maine.
Have you had the
And
lobster
I've
lobster
canoed
chowder?
the Allagash Wilderness Waterway in the 1970s, Chamberlain Lake, Eagle Lake, all the way up to St. John's on the border, wild water canoeing, and survived the most horrendous bugs in June out there, and mosquitoes and no-see-ums, and it was a miserable experience up there.
Mm.
Now, would I like to go? I would like to combine. For me, I would like to go back over the border to Canada. I would like to stop in Detroit. I'd like to stop in Chicago or head back up through Detroit and then head up to Toronto again and then drive from Toronto to Montreal and Quebec and then come down through the New England states and head, with Maine, head down to Maine, do that. Yeah, so, oh, got married in Reno and never went back.
Who's that?
Somebody told me crawdads taste like lobster. One of the earliest trips you can see on my channel is the Isleton, Isleto, and Isleton Cajun Crawdad Festival here on the Delta of Sacramento. We had containers of the crawdads. To me, there wasn't enough. It was too little meat to struggle with there. It was just too hard to eat
The
them.
crawfish in
Oh, thank you,
Louisiana.
Farmer says your stream on the boat was fantastic. Yeah, thank you very much. Trying to bring quality content here.
The crawfish in Louisiana is
Those
huge.
streams are people. Those streams, especially the first two, are people that will check them out for years to come that are interested in fishing and crabbing and going out of Bodega Bay. They'll watch those live streams and see what it's really like to be on the deck. How you doing, Paul David? Moonchild says, my husband bagged a 10-point buck this morning. We'll be eating good tonight. There you go. There you go. I appreciate that very much. So, clam bake is good. Thank you, Farmer. I was surprised the quality was so good out on the sea for a long time there. So, have you ever eaten whale as in blubber? No, I never have. I'm not sure how I chomped down on a piece of blubber. I'm not quite
Hey,
sure.
did you see the video that I was watching? I looked up mastos. I'm like, let me finally click on this mastos and see if they got any content.
Yeah, she's a content
And all of
creator.
a sudden, I saw a cooking
Yeah.
video, and she cooked some drum. Did you see the
Yeah,
drum
I saw
that she
the
cut
drum.
up?
Yes,
and
I
she
did.
put it on the potatoes, and
Yeah.
she put it in the foil.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "This is good."
And then her husband's
And-
like, ooh, yeah. Yep. I always watch Mouse Toes
Isn't she
videos.
from the East Coast?
She's from Texas. She's down in Texas.
Texas.
down
Oh,
there.
okay. Yeah, I saw her
She's
doing
wonderful. She's been an outstanding mod. I've known her since TR Preppers chat. She's
that. But it looked
the
pretty
really
good.
cool thing about her. She's got a vintage Sunbeam mixer, one of the two that's on the stand,
Oh.
and it's really cool. And I'm like, wow, man, that's so cool.
But
You have a
that
vintage
fish-
mixer on that.
That fish she made looked good, right? With the-
South Carolina. I'm sorry, Mouse Toes.
Did you see that fish she
Hey,
made?
Yasmin. Yes, I saw the
Yeah.
fish. Yep, I left a comment on it. Yeah, yeah. I'm happy to watch her content on there. She's a wonderful mod. She's opinionated and strong. I don't tell my mods. I don't put words in their mouth or whatever. They run their own show. I just tell people I'd like to have a positive program, but I'm not here
At
to
least she
correct
knows
them.
how to cook, though, right?
She knows how to cook, and she's a genuinely nice person,
Right.
nice person too. But I'm not here to worry about telling my mods. They run their own show, as you've seen here, Marshall. Good or bad, they roll with the program. So if they don't like you, it's not my job to to be a blocker and a halfback to go through. Over time, people will judge over time the way things. You don't change people's hearts and minds except over a very long period of time. Okay, And that's the effort if you want to be. And some people are trying to shift the narrative now that you're here on a redemption road tour. So I want to publicly state I don't redeem anybody anymore. Okay, not my job. My job is I signed on to a van build because I like that kind of work. I've never done a Class B build out before, and the reason I'm doing it is I enjoy doing it. And Marshall's been a friend of mine for many years on the channel. So I want to make that perfectly clear because they're already setting up the narrative. You know, when Marshall goes back on the road and he's left Santa Rosa, it'll be, there's prayers for him to revert back to his old way. And, people are looking forward and setting up the script for that day when it finally happens, that it was a failure, see. So as I've said many times, I take no responsibility for other people's lives and what they do. That's on them.
Just
So,
like Rosie,
thank you, Mouse Toes.
just
Hi,
like Rosie
Tina.
gives the moderators they can do whatever they,
They can
want,
do
and
whatever
say
they
whatever
want.
they want.
Yeah.
Rosie lets
Hey,
anybody,
Scottish, how
including
you
me,
doing?
I can
Yeah.
say and do whatever I want, just like the moderators.
Yeah,
There's no.
just like King
She's
of all
not
things
trying
in your
to.
chat, misgenders me and all that. But
Yeah.
we have kind of a fun back and forth kind of.
Uh,
I don't dislike code. We
she's
just
not
have a little
trying
bit
to
of a back and
redeem me
forth.
or change me in any way
Yeah.
at all.
Yep.
So, but
Yep. Good morning, Matt. How are you? Good morning, Tina. Simon says, "Love you, Scott. I will say I've had crab from all of nothing on the planet is comparable to Chesapeake Bay, Maryland crab. I would agree." Hi, Karen. Try some lidocaine cream. Now, somebody sent me, I think it was Patricia Wakefield, somebody, it might have been Katie or one of my other nice, or it might have been Tammy from OKC sent me, no, it might have been Richard Otts. I'm not sure. One of my wonderful friends sent me a natural topical cream that I'm going to be trying out. Yeah, prayers for protection because it's been very dangerous for RVs lately. Yes, it has been. That's right, Otome. You don't have to. I don't force anybody. I don't have a company line in here.
I like Rosie's
I don't
classic
put up
saying.
with. I don't put up with nastiness on.
I
my
like
channel.
Rosie's classic saying she said for years. I can't control what people say on my
Yeah.
panel. I can't control my moderators. Everybody's an adult.
Well,
they can say whatever they want.
But I
But
will
some
not.
people-
I will not tolerate a stream that goes racist.
Yeah.
And think on mine, it doesn't happen.
Some
and
people
people that
say,
say
though-
that you can't control the side chat, it's nonsense.
Some people, a lot of people,
Side chat's a reflection of the host or hostess.
a
That's
lot
it.
of people criticize a lot of content creators and say that the content creators should control what people say on their panel or their side chat, or moderators should.
Yeah.
You can't control an adult. Adults are going to say
And
whatever they want. They're not children.
and people that want to feed the negativity will claim that they can't control it. Of course, you can take care of the side chat. I don't allow, racism and all the things on my chat. I don't care about your chat, Marshall. That's your own deal.
I've cleaned up the trolls on my
Well,
side.
I'm
There's
just saying
nobody
for
left
my
on mine.
for my chat, I don't tolerate that kind of shading Semitism, anti-Semitism. I don't put up with it on.
Right.
You know why? Because I grew up in a very racist city that was
Segregated.
well, it was the first industrial town coming from the south when the blacks moved north in World War One, and it was really the first clashing point of migration from the south to the north, and I experienced and saw all that.
Segregation.
Sickened me, the segregation at lunch counters, movie theaters, buses, and all that kind of stuff. That stuff burned into my mind on there. So, let's see. We know we can get a channel. We know what we can. Anyway, good morning, Julie. Good to see you. Yeah, I have very good mods on here and everything. I just don't want to, Greg, there's people that will never change their mind about it. And that's, it is what it is. But I'm saying protect them. No, if they go negative on my channel, they get shown the gate. I'm not here to run a drama channel. There's plenty of other places that will sit there and just host a chat and pray that the topic gets around to Marshall and I and feign that he or she doesn't know what's going on in the community and please update me. I don't play that kind of game. I produce and bring my own content. Therefore, every day is a fun day for me on YouTube. Thank you. Yep, thank you. I eat crab and shrimp every day.
You want to tell them about our project on the rancho today? We got
Oh, we're gonna change out a garbage disposal
on our sink.
today. I'm not looking forward to that. That's like a gross job, gross job, gross job. That's it. Come to New Jersey. I'll take you around. I like New Jersey. I've been to Pine Barrens, Atlantic City, up there to Patterson, New Jersey. I've
You
been
never
all
talked about the casinos that much in Atlantic City.
Man, I would go up
Yeah.
every weekend when back in the days when Resorts International was new and Clare Ridge and Trump Casino and all that up there. I had a blast going up to Atlantic City. I do have rubber gloves, Otame. I do. So, no, Amy's life journey, it's fine. Like I say, you talk about it in chat what you want to talk about. But the only chat I can control is my chat, and I like to things have things
How's the
positive.
nightlife in Atlantic City, Rosie?
Dangerous.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think I think that they thought casinos would be the answer too.
To the
And most places find out, like Las Vegas has worked very hard to now put an entertainment on top.
right
You saw we stayed at the Gold Spike. They had converted that casino
into a
into a game
DJ. Yeah,
lounge, and it was working. And they were,
younger people were
yeah.
coming, and it was a DJ and everything. Yeah.
Atlantic City doesn't have that option. When they legalized gambling in Atlantic City, Merv Griffin's Resort International stock went through the roof, and all these, because they thought it would be a good thing. But gambling is a net negative for society. You're not creating anything. You know what I'm saying? You're
You're
not.
taking. Well,
You're not innovating. You're not bringing in things. It's almost like a regressive tax. It hits the
right.
poor hardest when they gamble, not the rich, but the poor.
The poor. Yeah.
So therefore, it's a temptation. So Hawaii and Utah don't allow any gambling at all. No lotteries, no casino gambling, nothing, because they made a determination that it's a negative for. It's a false road to go down that you think is going to lead to prosperity. It leads to low-end casino jobs with high turnover and things like that. Okay.
Right.
Now, for Atlantic City, on one side of it's like Florida. On one side of the one, it's all the casinos and all the glamour.
By the water.
On the west side
That's worse.
is S-hole. I'm not going to say the word. It is a
Just like
mess over.
Florida,
It's
yeah.
scary,
Yeah.
big time, scary
Scary. Yeah.
on that side of it. So
On the west side, but away
yeah,
from the water.
on
That's
the
where
west side. Yeah, on the west side of it. So it's a very
rough.
I wouldn't boondock in Atlantic City. I'd head over the bridges and get out of that area to some of the nice sections
Suburbs.
of boondock
The
there.
suburbs. Okay.
It's one of the rare environments I wouldn't urban boondock within.
Would you say it's
Atlantic
as bad
City.
as Baltimore or worse?
Not as bad as Baltimore, but an unknown quantity to me. I just hear things. I grew up with.
Well, it's a lot of people too. It's more.
Well, it's some density there.
Right.
But the result is that Atlantic City has once again become a rather depressing town. It's got to. They had Foxwood casinos opened in Connecticut, which is all glamorous. That sucked all the people from New York and all went over.
Connecticut has a lot of money. It's more of like
Yeah. And the money is just is it's not there for Atlantic City.
So everybody's going to Foxwood.
Yeah,
and
Foxwood and some of the other Native American gaming
in Connecticut,
establishments.
where it's nicer and cleaner
Yeah.
and safer and stuff.
So why would you have to leave New York City on a bus, and you got to cross the George Washington Bridge,
Traffic.
or the Lincoln Tunnel, and you've got to drive down through traffic through Hoboken and heading down through Patterson and all down the Garden State
Garden State
Parkway and all
Parkway.
that kind of stuff, and it's a drag. It's a drag.
So it's going downhill.
Okay, Goldie says it's a bit better. Hard Rock, open oceans. Okay, that's good. But I'm not a big believer in casino gaming as a societal cure for prosperity. you're putting dollars from one pocket to another. You're not creating wealth. Okay, you're not producing something from raw material and like an automobile
Factory,
where you have that good layer of manufacturing jobs. It's a very thin layer of management in a casino and
low
a
end
lot of
jobs,
low end
low end jobs.
jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So, and it's very hard to advance in that
And
type of situation. So, just the way I feel about it. Yeah, it's not. I enjoy the Pine Barrens. I'll tell you a funny story. One time, I had a '68 Mustang, and my spark coil went out, and I was in the middle of nowhere. It was 2 a.m. in the morning, and the guy had to tow me all the way back to Baltimore from, and I think I paid
Oh,
him $90, and the guy he was a Bible toter. His
oh.
property. His property, he was talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, and he had separate flags for, the
Oh man,
countries where I mean,
yeah.
the guy was a trip, the guy was unbelievable. Yeah, I enjoy Ocean City, Maryland. I hope to get down there. So, hopefully if Marshall and I are traveling together, which I hope it will be, we will have a chance to go see some of these spots. Marshall doesn't really know a lot about the northeast there in New England. And how you doing, JK NoCal? Good to see you. The quality, thank you, Hectic. I just did live stream. Hectic said the quality of the videos yesterday were excellent. And the nice thing about yesterday, I've already done cinematic crabbing before, and I put that up yesterday morning, so I didn't feel compelled to have to do
To
that
do
again.
the
I could just live stream and be done yesterday. I didn't have to come back here and do hours of editing to put
editing, yeah,
something
right, that you've already done
together.
before.
Yeah, it shows you, Hectic, that if you have a really good camera like the S9 or the S10, and you have decent signal acquisition, these cameras are almost as good as DSLR cameras, and they're really expensive cameras. When I started seeing 2 years ago how great the cameras on phones were becoming, I immediately sold all my high-end camera
All the
gear
other cameras.
before the market crashed for that gear. How you doing, Tess? Says hi, Rosie and Marshall. Nice to see you. I'm not sure her broken wing. I'm not sure what the travel schedule will
I
be.
think
We'll see.
your Tijuana cinematic video ended
There
up
you
being
go, Dawn. Woo!
you
Need to come to Texas.
you
Taos, I'll set you up. That would be
you
awesome.
put that on your channel trailer and it ended up getting a lot of views.
Which one?
Your Tijuana.
Oh yeah, I want people to come in and see a cinematic video, and I change them up once in a while. I
Well,
can
you should
put
put them on a
in.
list, a playlist,
Well, I
right?
will put them in, but I'm,
So
I'm
people can
awful
see.
busy
Right.
doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that I want to. There's a lot of things that I
If I
want to do.
if I did that, put in all the work, I would have just a playlist and separate the cinematic
Good day, Captain
from the
Caveman.
streams. Because a lot of work goes into that.
It does. It does. So
And
I like a good gateway. I'm happy about the state of the channels and things. I've concentrated here on the Rosie Murphy channel to start to build that up higher. It is monetized. I'm enjoying the fruits of that, obviously, over the last week or so. It's not the overriding goal, but it is nice to.
haven't you reapplied for monetization on Rosie O'Kelly?
No,
Not
I've
yet.
not applied for. It may or may not even be worth it, Marshall.
Right.
I've got the channel for adult content, which is great. So, and I have this channel, which is more about how-tos and vintage commercials and well-known actors in their first roles in commercials and things like that. And then the main flagship channels for everyday life and stuff. So
Right.
I will be Space Girl. I was Space Girl on Halloween, Dawn. I will put that up. I've removed all the Space Girl content from my Rosie O'Kelly channel. As Marshall knows, many of them had 50 to 90,000 views on those. They were very popular hangouts. But now that I have the Rosie McNamara channel, as you guys know, I've reduced that content generally anyway because too busy doing other stuff on here. And it's,
Can you move? Why don't you move your Space Girl stuff to McNamara?
how do you do that, Marshall?
Re-upload it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's for fresh content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me. It was never monetized content. It was just for fun and to
Right.
see, and people enjoyed the heck out of that. Will there be other ones? Yes, there'll be fresh ones on the
But
McNamara channel.
you're actually more comfortable
In fact,
separating.
tonight will be an adult dress-up hangout. So we shall see. Ella Bella says, "I missed the panel hangouts." Ella, yeah. You know, honestly, Ella, I enjoyed being you. I always enjoy you. I'm always honored to see you in the stream. But 2.5 years kind of cooked me on panels and that kind of thing. Doing that.
She brought in Bergs the other day.
Yeah, Oda says I should do one. Maybe I'll do that, Oda. I don't even know how to send links to people. People getting porned out on things, and I would have a big target on my back for that. So if I did that, that would be on the McNamara channel or something like that. So let's see. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. I'm not sure if Marshall will dress tonight or not. I don't know. I don't know. He might be a little tired after wrestling the garbage disposal today here on the
I wonder if
ranch
you can
show.
take that thing and fix it instead of buying a new one.
You know, it's funky. I don't want to take it apart.
Right.
I'd rather just deep six it. You know, it's one thing I'm not going to say I could make it like new. I don't want to fiddle with the garbage disposal. I have too many wounds on my hands and things, and I could just contract some kind of blood poisoning or something. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it.
It's better just to buy a new one. And
there you go, mouse toes. Yeah,
be
you
done
need
with it, I guess.
helmets and shoulder pads for that hangout for sure. So, Simon, you're a wonderful person. The fun of video editing is doing it. The more you do it, the better you get. You know, but don't have a Tijuana night movie with some heavy blaring. You know, the music's got to match the mood when you do a cinematic. If you're trying to show the dark side of Tijuana, which is at part dark and at part light with the food scene, when you switch the scenes, and I think to me it's one of the sad aspects of Tijuana is that as I've said before, and that women have to.
If I would have did one with Tijuana, I would want like a techno music, and I would just show the girls.
Yeah,
I wouldn't show the rest
I'm trying to tell the
whole story.
I'm trying to tell a story
with
an abrupt change of music. You go from the club scene to the neon and everything, to the hard reality of making a buck in life. So you have to use your music to also tell a story also and complement. And you can't be worried about monetization. You have to be worried about, you know, using an artist that may have some music like Jar of Hearts, Christine Perry, and using that is going to fit the theme. Let's see. I do not have Discord. I found that Discords tended to be just a place where people get chopped up in those things. Just not my cup of tea. I like to have more control, and I don't ever want to set up something that's a breeding ground for malcontent. That's not my. Are you doing NFN and NSN? The heck is that? NFN? No friggin' nonsense. What is?
How many cinematic videos do you think you have, Rosie? Since
20, 25. I'll put them all in a playlist.
You should put them on a playlist.
I will. I will. Yep. I will put them all on a playlist. Yeah, I don't do green rooms. You'll see that there's a lot of things that have been run. Dave the Fisherman, Trish the Dish, and all the people that populated green rooms. For the most part, they were not negative experiences, as Trish has outlined. But one thing you'll never see is my name rolling on those green rooms. It's not something I'm interested in. I'm not interested in.
When you're on the road and traveling, you don't have time.
Well, at any time, I never participated in green rooms except occasionally to say hi, because I found out that you know, it's just not my cup of tea. I'm kind of like you. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it on my own channel and put it out there. So. But they have become a source that they've been weaponized now, the green rooms. And I always knew that they would be weaponized. And now it becomes he said, she said, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, travel, bring content. You'll never regret it. if you bring content, it allows you to rise above. You're a original. You're an original product.
Right.
Talking about other channels is a derivative product. Okay, you're not creating new things. You are having fun, which I applaud the people that do that. But I find my greatest joy is creating original content like yesterday, because people gravitate more and more to that kind of content. And the people that want drama gradually fade away to the places where they can
All of them fade
participate.
away. Every person over the years, and I won't have to mention any names, has talked about me. I've been on doing this for 5 years, and every one of them has gone down. Not one of them is still here, but I'm still here, and that's what happens when you talk about other people. It's a short shelf life, and then your channel, you'll go down
Well,
sooner
people
or later.
get bored. They,
People get bored of it. They get
anyway,
burned
I'm
out.
not. I'm the last person that tells do what you want, have fun, be entertaining. If you like what you're doing, by all means, do it. Whether it's original content, reflective content on other people, it's great. Okay, and I don't tell everybody. I encourage everybody, do your own thing, have fun. We have channels that are political commentary, we have social commentary. People comment on other people's whatever floats your boat.
I think
Enjoy it.
one thing I
Thank
wanted
you, Linda.
I wanted to tell Rosie one thing, in my opinion. When you look at all the big name YouTubers, you look at Bob Wells, you look at Nomadic Fanatic, just in the RV community.
Right.
Because I don't really follow the trends community on YouTube, but I'm talking about for my community. Camper Van Kevin.
Right.
None of them, if you look at it, none of them acknowledge people talking about them or the trolls. They don't mention them, they don't talk about them, and most of them don't even do live hangouts. But they have a lot of viewers. And and I believe as a content creator, when you start talking and mentioning the people that talk about you, you're falling into their trap. You see, every content creator in the RV community
Well, I
that's been
agree. That's
successful,
why I
that
don't.
has a huge channel. I mean, you've seen
Yeah. Yeah, I
Nomadic
agree.
Fanatic was attacked by stickers for
I
a
know
long
you've
time.
made your
Eh,
point. Now,
Yeah, and he
exactly.
mentioned him.
It's
He
one
did
reason I iced my other channel for a while, because
right,
I specifically don't. I don't want to talk about other people on the
right.
channel, and I never will. They'll never get the time of day and on my channel, and that's the bottom line on that. Because my channel will be
Yeah,
original content, hangouts, and fun and stuff like that.
I was
I'm not gonna pollute it with
I was.
engaging in back and forth with people.
That's what
So,
they want. But I
well, I'm
also
just saying I'm not gonna. I'm gonna end this hangout now,
right,
Marshall. I'm not about to go down the road, and I'm giving this enough attention today.
right,
It's getting on. It's afternoon, so I want to go. We got to make a trip down
right.
to the store. November. Yeah, I don't know. Oda May, we know you're bald. Lucky. There you go. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that. Talk about Bergs. Anyway, that's the way I run the channel, and that's why my moderators they can appreciate what I'm trying to do, but I don't tell them what to. No, I don't. I'm in the Boyd, Carlos, but the Boyd is a big place. It has plenty of people that do their own thing in the Boyd. Okay, do I enjoy being in the Boyd? Yes. Do I enjoy the people in the Boyd? Yes. Do I communicate with many of them in real life? Yes. You never get out of the Boyd. We know that. I'm not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is in 2020 to point myself more towards travel and adventures, more towards the RV and the van life. And that's the kind of thing, yeah, I'm not trying to leave. I'll always be in the Boyd, first and foremost. The Boyd is my home, okay? And it's what I really love, okay? So thank you everybody for being on the chat. Got some work to do today, so have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you once again for all the fun. I'm not sure what brand of disposal I'm going to get out there. That's right, you can check out anytime, but you can never leave. And that's why I love the Boyd, because it's the greatest place on YouTube, and the people, the interaction among people is some of the most followable content on YouTube, in my opinion. Boyd is the most colorful section of YouTube, because a lot of weird people like me and him populate the Boyd and provide a lot of entertainment. So have a wonderful day. To those of you who are new, thank you very much. I will see you guys this evening. have a late night chat. I don't know, probably be here or on Murphy or on McNamara. So I want to thank you very much. And to my wonderful moderators, thank you very much. And just remember to the haters, I have a very strong filter on my channel. So if you try to post things that rarely sees the light of day on here in the chat, so it is what it is. All right, everybody, thank you very much. And woo!